47. No matter how you choose to celebrate, there's a lot going on across Utah.
Yes, there is. We do have team coverage for you tonight. Our crews out and about tracking everything from the heat to fire safety and even what you can expect to see at the Days of 47 parade.
Let's get right to news specialist Alex Cabrero in Taylorsville. Unified firefighters were called to a house fire there this afternoon. Alex, the way this fire started is one way that fire crews are worried about this weekend. County website.
Firefighters are nervous about the hot and dry conditions out there, combined with fireworks this holiday weekend.
Yeah, with good reason. They're also dealing with another problem, drivers not yielding to fire trucks. News specialist Ladd Egan joins us now in our coverage. Ladd, this is a frustrating problem.
Yeah, Deanie and Mike, it sure is. And, you know, the drivers of the fire engines say that the bad behavior that they're seeing on the road is getting more common. People not paying attention to the lights and sirens, or maybe not knowing what the law is. Lehigh's battalion chief says crews rushing to the scene of an emergency are seeing more drivers that aren't pulling over at all, or sometimes pulling to the left, creating confusion and increasing response times. They said the blame is a combination of crowded roads, impatient drivers, and distractions like cell phones. In fact, he says people seem more concerned with getting video on their phones than pulling over, and that it's stressful when ambulances or fire engines can't get a clear pathway.
Seconds save lives in our business. So loved ones are calling 911. It could be your loved one, could be your neighbor, friend, and we're responding to scene and then coming up to intersections or in heavy traffic with vehicles stopped and not moving, which slows us down.
If you're driving and an emergency vehicle approaches with lights and sirens, the law says to move as close to the right side of the road as possible and stop until it passes. The fire department says they understand when roads are congested and just to move as far right as possible. Also, be aware it's normally not just one emergency vehicle trying to get to a scene. So they would be very appreciative if folks started giving the emergency vehicles more space, especially this weekend. They're expecting it to be more chaotic than the 4th because of this heat and because of all the dry grasses. For Live at 5, I'm Ladd Egan.
Ladd, thank you. We are learning the names of those involved in it. Thank you, Shara.
Ahead of the holiday weekend, a warning for us all to prevent sparks from creating a tragedy. At 6:30, firefighters worry about dry conditions and how drivers on the roads are making their jobs even harder.
First, though, a sneak peek at Rio Grande River.
Firefighters pleading with motorists to pull over and stop for passing fire trucks and ambulances. I'm Ladd Egan, and I'll have that story coming up in our news at 6:30.
Or chainsaw.
Firefighters are kind of nervous about the hot and dry conditions out there, combined with fireworks this holiday weekend.
They're also dealing with another problem. Drivers aren't yielding to fire trucks. News specialist Ladd Egan joins us with more from Lehigh. Ladd?
Yeah, the fire engine drivers say they're seeing it more often. People not paying attention to the lights and sirens, or maybe not knowing what the law is.
People with road rage, our guides have had people, give inappropriate gestures with fingers, swear at them on scene.
Lehigh Battalion Chief Jeff Smith says crews rushing to the scene of an emergency are seeing more drivers not pulling over at all, or sometimes pulling to the left, creating confusion and increasing response times.
Seconds save lives in our business. So loved ones are calling 911. It could be your loved one, could be your neighbor, friend, and we're responding to scene and then coming up to intersections or in heavy traffic with vehicles stopped and not moving, which slows us down.
He says it's stressful and dangerous when ambulances or fire trucks can't get a clear pathway, and a few things could be to blame.
Crowded roads, driver attitude of, rush hour traffic, being frustrated, wanting to get home, unattentive drivers.
So what do you do when you see lights and sirens approaching?
If you hear or see us coming up and approaching, is check your lanes, don't panic, pull over to the right, and come to a complete stop.
Also, be aware it's usually more than one emergency vehicle trying to get to a scene. The Utah County Sheriff's Office says they're also seeing more bad driving behavior.
People driving faster, maybe being a little bit more aggressive. We've seen in some ways an increase in road rage, and that sometimes translates into properly getting out of the way of emergency vehicles and yielding to them.
Another part of the safety equation, obeying the law to slow down and move over if possible for stopped emergency vehicles. Sergeant Spencer Cannon says he had a close call after writing a ticket on I-15.
Came back to my truck, stepped in my truck, and not 10 seconds after I stepped in my truck, I got sideswiped. If you don't care to look out for the safety of law enforcement and fire and EMS and even emergency vehicles like tow trucks, if you don't care about their safety, care about your own, because if you hit them, your life and safety is at risk too.
Both law enforcement and the fire department say they would be very appreciative if people started helping out, giving the emergency vehicles more space, especially this weekend, which they're expecting to be more chaotic than the 4th of July weekend because of this heat and all the dry grasses. Reporting in Lehigh, Ladd Egan, KSL 5 News.
All right, good reminder, Ladd. Thank you. Also remember when visiting state